Yeah, this is our section, outcome-based evaluation, how we will evaluate the attainments. Just one or two slides again regarding the concepts. Already you have gone through these definitions or the basic concepts. So outcome-based education is a model of education that deviates from the traditional focus on what the institution provides to students. That actually that is our objective. And in favor of making students demonstrate that they know and are able to do to achieve results. So these are the buzzwords. Know and are able to do to achieve results. That is very important. Then what is the difference between the traditional system and the new OBE system, outcome-based education? The traditional system, it is more focused on teacher-centric teaching or teacher-centric learning, whatever it is. But in the outcome-based education, it is student-centric. Already you have gone through these concepts. Then the traditional system, we have importance on teaching and content. More teaching and more content that is in the traditional system. And that is what we are doing for the last couple of years. Then in the OBE, we have more importance on learning and process. So more learning happens in the OBE system and process are also there. Then the traditional system, knowledge-driven and rote learning. Mostly rote learning is happening in the traditional system, whereas in the OBE, learning ensures knowledge and performance. Yeah, this is actually the paradigm shift. The earlier years, when we teach for maybe 10 years before or 5 years before going to the classroom, a teacher will think like this: what should I teach today? And we are preparing for it. Whereas in the OBE system, the new system, we will think like this. As a teacher, we will think like this: what should my students be able to do with what they learn? So that we'll have more activities towards the learning. So we'll have the teaching, learning activities, everything focused on the learning of the students. So what should my students be able to do with what they learn? That is the traditional, that is the new OBE system. And this is the paradigm shift from the traditional system to the OBE system. This is a quote I have found from somewhere, like you can read it: good education happens when there is a teacher who explains well. When there is a teacher who explains well and a student who understands well. But great education happens when there is a student who explains well and a teacher who understands well. So if you can have a student who can explain the concepts very well and a teacher who can understand that, that is great education. I think as teachers, all of you have come across with this pyramid. You can see how the active learning and the passive learning happens. See, only 5% of the learning happens when through lectures. And the olden days when we were students, the faculty will come and will perform the lectures, and they will provide the notes. Then we will mug up everything. We will write exams. But this has to be changed. So through reading, 10% of learning will happen, and it was through some audiovisual, techniques, 20% of the learning happens. 30% of the learning happens through demonstration, and through discussions, 50% of learning happens. Or learning by doing, that is a concept. When we do something, when we do or practice something what we have learned, 75% of the learning happens through learning by doing. And 90% of the learning happens when we teach others. So as all of us are teachers, we know we learn more things, the concepts and everything, when we started teaching. Because every day we are learning more and more things, more and more concepts, theories, etc. So when we adopt outcome-based education, you can look into these actions or activities where more learning is happening. So collaborative learning or discussion forums that we can use, especially if we are using ICT tools like Moodle. Most of these activities you can perform through the Moodle LMS. So when the students teach others for peer teaching, through peer teaching, definitely a lot of learning will happen. Okay. Now, this is one of my questions, like, what are the three pillars of a professional? Or as a teacher, we can say, what are the strong pillars of a faculty or a teacher? I think it's better we can have some activities on the Mentimeter also. I will share a Mentimeter screen. So I'm sharing a Mentimeter screen just for an interaction. You can give your responses here, like I will share the link in the chat box. Sorry, I will share once again. I'll put in the chat box the link of that Mentimeter. So you can just log in, just click that link and you can give your responses. So what are the strong pillars of a teacher? This will see the responses. You can just go to that link and you can give your responses. Otherwise, you can go to menti.com and you can use this code. You can see that code on the top of the screen, 811-94208. There are two methods. Either you can click the link you shared in the chat box and you can give your responses. Otherwise, you can go to menti.com. It is on the top of the screen, menti.com. Then you can type the code 811-94208 and you can give your responses. And you can see that some responses are coming. Strong pillars of a teacher, like a communication skills, subject knowledge, then knowledge, good explanation, coaching, training, confidence, planning. Yes, we're getting some responses like this. Okay, you can click the link which is shared in the chat box, or you can go to menti.com, www.menti.com, and you can use the code at the top of the screen, 811-94208. So we are getting some responses like this: upskilling, knowledge and wisdom, planning strategy, okay, good communication skills, effective use of ICT, mentoring. Yeah. Yeah, 30 seconds more. We can finish it off. Yeah, caring, listening. Yeah, we getting very good ideas. Organized, patient, self-confidence, subject knowledge. Okay. Okay, thank you for your response. We are getting some very good feedback like this. Sorry. So this is again the strong pillars of a teacher. Okay. Now we will use this for when we explain what is OBE and the concept related to OBE. It's good. So we will one more slide that we will finish and we will go back to the session. We'll see. Again, this is another question. You can use the same link and or you can go to menti.com. You can use the same code. Which activities or assessments is more suitable for OBE? Listed around 6 activities like assignment, seminar, project work, examinations, internship, case study. Okay. You can give your response. Yeah, response are coming. I'll share the link once more. The link is shared in the chat box so that you can go to that link and you can give your responses. You please give that responses in the Mentimeter, not in the chat box. You can go to that link and you can give your response there. Otherwise, you can go to menti.com and you can type the code which is on the top of the screen, 811-94208, and you can give the response. Okay, this is actually part of your learning experience. So give your response, please. You have 30 seconds more. Just explore these activities and how it is useful for OBE implementation and which activity is more useful or more suitable for outcome-based education. So we have project work, case study, internship, examinations, assignment, seminar. Yeah. So almost, yeah, we have got this, the trend like this. Number one is project work. I think more people have voted for project work. Then we have the case study, then internships, then comes examinations, assignment, seminar. Okay, so we will discuss this at the end of the session. We'll see which all activities are more useful when or more suitable when we implement OBE. Okay, thank you for your response. Okay, that we will discuss later. Thank you. Okay, now we are here. So 3 pillars of a profession are the strong pillars of a teacher that we have seen. So we have responded for that. So what are the three pillars of a professional for a teacher? Lot of ideas were there. Now coming to the POs. This is actually the POs of listed by National Board of Accreditation for engineering colleges and or business schools. And this is for engineering colleges. You can see engineering knowledge, development of solutions, problem solving, etc. And all these graduate attributes, which will be converted into PO. No? So all these graduate attributes you can broadly divided into categories like this. Some of the graduate attributes comes under knowledge, some under attitude, some under skill, or finally habit. So the three strong pillars of a professional are knowledge, attitude, and skill. And what all things you have listed there, all the words or wordings you have given there, it will be under knowledge or under attitude or under skill. Okay, so knowledge, skill, and attitude, or we call it ask, attitude, skill, and knowledge. Okay, ask. These are the three pillars of a professional. And now we will add habit also, because lifelong learning, it should be a habit. So all the POs, even if it is defined by UGC or even if it is defined by NBA, we can classify them into these broad categories. And this knowledge, attitude, and skill, you have seen it in the first section when we discussed about this Bloom's taxonomy. Okay, so already you have seen it there. So there is a connection between Bloom's taxonomy, OBE, all these things, and the graduate attributes. Then comes the outcomes everywhere. So there is a connection. You can see a underlying threads here. Now, at the end of today's section, we should be able to calculate the outcomes, like the POs. This is an example of a PO calculation. I think already you have gone through this in the previous sessions. Suppose we have the graduate attributes listed here, the first column, and the attainment calculation. Suppose it's for a student who qualifies for a program, this is the value of the graduate attributes. That means for disciplinary knowledge, he got 2.3 out of 3, out of the value of 3. Okay. Similarly, for communication skills, 1.8. And these POs will serve as an authentic profile of the student competencies. So that means when we produce this score sheet in front of an employer, the employer can understand the skill of the student. So this is actually the profile of a student. So this is what we are going to calculate today. At least we will understand the process. Now, I'm listing an example of a program outcome. This is a sample program outcome. These are the program outcomes of our college, Marian College, Kuttikkanam. We have the first one, domain knowledge, then the communicative competence, proficiency in using modern technologies, and finally we have the 9th one, self-directed and lifelong learning. So these are POs of our college. This is only for an example. I am taking these POs to understand how we can calculate the attainments. Then this is an PSOs of a BCA program. This only I have taken from somewhere. We have 5 PSOs here. PSO 1, an ability to apply mathematical foundations, algorithmic principles, and computer science theory and practice. Okay, that way all the PSOs are listed here. And I have already taken PO, then PSO of a BCA program. Then coming to the course outcomes. Suppose there is a course called Introduction to Computers. Okay, so I'm taking 5 course outcomes, starting from the first one, identify the parts of the computer system. That is the first CO. So after studying this course, Introduction to Computers, the student should be able to identify the parts of the computer system. Similarly, the other COs are there. So I'm just giving a code for each of the COs. CO 101.1 means the course code is 1.01. 0.1 is the code of the course outcome number 1. Similarly, we have 5 course outcomes. Okay. Now we have the POs, PSOs, and COs. So already defined. Once if we define the COs only, then we can design the syllabus. So already it is there. Then we can have some activities like the first semester, suppose there is an activity called outreach, or there is an activity called industrial visit. These are general activities. We can, this may contribute directly to POs or PSOs. This is not part of any course, but these activities we can conduct during the semester or during the second semester or first semester, whatever it is, according to your convenience. And these are actually OB only activities. We can consider this as OB only activities. That means if you have some assessments for an industrial visit or for an outreach, it may not come in the mark list. It cannot come in the mark list because the mark list, the mark sheet, everything will be there, predefined by the university or the college, board of studies or academic council. We cannot change anything there. But for attainment calculation, for a calculation of attainment, we can add some general activities like this, and these are only OB only activities, and we can assess these activities, and this will contribute to the POs or PSOs respectively. Okay. Then there will be a predefined mapping scale. As already Dr. Sunil Job was mentioned about a mapping scale, we can have a predefined mapping scale. Direct and indirect assessment methods may be used in preset proportions. That means there should be a proportion of direct assessment and indirect assessment. And probably there may be some confusion about what is a direct assessment and indirect assessment. Direct assessments are done by the faculty members or the college, whereas indirect assessment means the assessments done by a third party, like if we are, the students are going for an industrial visit, and suppose if you ask the industry people there to have an assessment of the students, maybe they will adopt some techniques or some questionnaire they will provide, or through some assessment methods, they will assess the students, and that is a third-party assessment. That is also an indirect assessment. Or we can have a survey. We can conduct a survey among the students and ask the students, in your opinion, what is your attainment level? So there also the students will respond, and that is again an indirect assessment. And components of assessment may be like assessment examinations. We can have examinations. Then we have regular internal assessments, like exams are also, internal exams are also there. Then we have other innovative continuous assessments, activities or events. We can have personality assessments. You can conduct events, and based on the performance of the student in the event, you can assess them. So all these can be OB only activities to achieve the target of the CO attainment. We can have activities like that. Then possibilities of components of evaluation are numerous, like anything from a class test to a MOOC learning or a third-party online test could be used. Option to use innovative learning experiences, such as we can have a learning management system or a Moodle or something like that, so that you can conduct a number of assessments through this Moodle or LMS, so that everything can be automated. So without the burden on the teacher, or maybe teachers will be busy with many other things. So we can automate some of the assessments like that. Then we can have question banks. We can have real-time classroom activities. Aptitude assessment portal. It's very easy to have an aptitude assessment portal, because if you are having a model, then definitely you can add questions. Even you can take the help of the students so that the aptitude portal can be completed. Then they can practice on the aptitude portal. That also can be counted towards the calculation of attainment level. Then we can have quizzes and surveys, gamification elements, many more things, many more activities like that you can include. Then questions in semester examination get mapped to different COs. If you're an autonomous college or if a university, once if the questions are mapped to different COs, and you can have the marks also for each student, how much mark he got for each every question. It is already recorded there. So for an autonomous colleges, it's easy for getting all these assessment values. Whereas for an affiliated college, they may not get the marks of the Sunshine examination. That means individual marks of the questions. So in that case, we will adopt some other strategy. That also is possible anyway. Other components may wholly or at rubric level get mapped to different outcomes. We can have rubrics and we can map all these components directly to different outcomes. So COs are in turn mapped to POs and PSOs. I think already you have gone through that. General activities may also be mapped to POs and PSOs. That is also possible. CO attainments can be tabulated at the end of each semester based on student scores, because COs we calculate at the end of the semester, at the end of the course. Whereas POs and PSOs, we will calculate at the end of the program. But we can calculate in between so that progressively it will go. And finally, at the end of the program, we will get the final calculation. Now, the mapping scale, already you have gone through this mapping scale, like there may be a weightage of 0, 1, or 2, or 3. So this is a 4-point scale. Usually NAC and the accreditation agencies, they follow a 4-point scale. So, and if the institution is willing, they can adopt a different scale. Yeah, they can go for a 5-point scale or something like that. That is not a problem. Okay, if there is no attainment, that means the student is having 0 marks. Then definitely the attainment is nil, so the weightage is 0. And we can have a interval like this from 1 to 50%. If the student is scoring a mark for a particular examination or particular assessment, then if it is between 1 to 50%, it's a low attainment and the weightage is 1. Here also you can change the intervals depending on the policy of the institution. If you want 1 to 40%, that range, you can do it. Then we can have a moderate attainment if it is from 51 to 70%. Okay, then the weightage will be 2. And from 71 to 100%, we can say that it's a significant attainment. So the weightage is 3. So we can fix a mapping scale like that. So every institution can change this because according to their policy, they can change it. Now the COPO mapping, already you have gone through that also. So every COs we can map to the POs and also to the PSOs. So here we have 5 COs, 1 to 5. And each of the COs you can map to different POs based on the weightage. Like here, CO1 is mapped to PO1 with a weightage 2, whereas to PO2 again weightage 2, and PO9 weightage 1. Similarly, all the COs we can map like this. And if you have any activities, as I mentioned earlier, those activities also can, activity outcomes also can be mapped to different POs. Okay. Then we will get a sample program matrix or articulation matrix, or it is also called like that, a sample program matrix for OBE. That means the first column, you can see the courses, and for each course, you have different outcomes. Suppose, for example, if it is a BCA course or a BCom course, you may have average, say, 5 to 6 courses in a semester, 5 to 6 subjects the students are studying in a semester. So in 6 semesters, approximately or average, if you take 5 or 6 courses, 5 courses in a semester, 5 into 6, that means the students will be studying 30 subjects or 30 courses. Okay. And for each course, if you have 5 outcomes, 5 course outcomes, then 30 into 5, 30 courses are there, and each course will have around 5 course outcomes, so that 30 into 5, 150 course outcomes will be there. So on the left, the first column, you will have all the course outcomes listed there. And you have activity outcomes also. If there are any activities you have conducted, then activity outcomes also there listed in the first column. Okay. Then each of these course outcomes, you can map to different POs and PSOs. And the course in charge, the faculty who is teaching that particular course will be mapping that course outcome to the POs or PSOs. So if we have like 30 courses, then 30 faculty members will be there teaching the courses in each semester. And at that time, they'll be mapping the course outcomes to the program outcomes or PSOs. So you will get a program matrix like this. And if you can have an analytics about this program matrix, you can see how the mapping is done and whether proper representation of the CEOs are there. Suppose if any of the POs or PSOs is not properly represented, in that case, you can add any activity. In addition to the course, we can add any activity in that particular semester or anywhere, so that that particular PO will be represented by a particular activity, so that the attainment will be genuine. Now, after the mapping process, we need to have a CEO linked assessment plan. So according to the creativity of the faculty, we can have a CEO linked course assessment plan. This is very important because the faculty should have a assessment plan like this. And this is again a simple example I'm demonstrating. Sorry, we have a course where we have a 60% mark for the final exam, that means end semester exam, and 40% for the continuous assessment. Okay, it's only an example, and this is a very simple example only to understand the process of computation. Suppose we have a seminar is 4. The mark allotted to that seminar is 4 out of 40, because 40 is the maximum mark for the continuous assessments. And suppose I am giving the seminar which will map to course outcome number 1. Okay, so which will meet the requirement of course outcome 1. I think in this particular example, the course outcome number 1 was the student should be able to identify the parts of a computer system. So we can give a seminar like that. The student will present the seminar on that particular topic. So it is mapped to CO1. Then assignment, I am giving another assignment, but that assignment is mapped to CO2. So that again fulfill the requirements of the course outcome number 2. And suppose I am giving a video presentation which is mapped to CO3. And again, a group activity, whatever it is, it can be a mini project or whatever it is. The marks for that group activity is 3.5 out of 40. And this is mapped to CO2 and CO4. Okay. Similarly, even seminar or assignment, whatever activity you are giving to the students, you can map it to more than one outcomes. That is possible. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm just demonstrating a very simple model. Okay. And here, the group activity, you can map to CO2 and CO4. And again, you can have a weightage there. Suppose group activity is mapped to CO2 with a weightage of 3, whereas to CO4 with a weightage of 2 or 1. It is also possible. Okay. So as I mentioned, I'm taking only a simple case. And suppose there is a news analysis, and this can be considered as an activity outcome. Okay. Then we are conducting some internal examinations, and our first exam for 5 marks. Suppose the questions in the first exam is mapped to CO1 and CO2. Okay. For example, maybe I'm considering only the first 2 modules of the syllabus or first 2 units of the syllabus, so that for the first 2 modules will be mapped to CO1 and CO2. Similarly, I have exam 2, which is having a 7.5 marks, and suppose it is mapped to CO3, and exam 3, 7.5 marks, and it is mapped to CO4 and CO5. And there is an attendance. Suppose I'm giving marks for attendance, then it can be an activity outcome. So that the 5 marks, the attendance carries 5 marks. Total, you can see total marks is 40. And that is the marks for the continuous assessment, and 60 for the final exam. Final exam means the semester end exam. You may have questions from all the modules or all the units, so that all the outcomes will be covered in that question paper. Suppose you may have 20 or 25 questions in the question paper. So each and every question you can map to different COs. Definitely it will cover all the COs, and it should be like that. So this is a simple CO linked assessment plan, but this is only an ordinary simple one, but we can have more inputs, like we can map each and every activity to different COs, and you can add n number of activities, n number of assessments. So all these are coming to the mark sheet except that news analysis. Similarly, you can add many other activities here also. Now coming to the attainment calculation, I'm simply giving you an example only for understanding the process. Okay. Now you can see for seminar, we have 4 marks, then it is mapped to CO1. Suppose the student is scoring 40% mark for seminar. So out of 4, he will be scoring around 1.6, then 40% mark for seminar. Then automatically the attainment level is 1, because from 1 to 50%, the attainment, that weightage is 1. Already we have fixed that weightage. Okay. Then suppose for assignment, the student is getting 85% mark. So it comes the highest level. That means 70 to 100%. So the attainment level is 3. Similarly, for each and every activities or assessments, the student is scoring mark like this, which is shown in the 3rd column. And based on the marks, the percentage of marks obtained by the student in different activities or assessments, you can have the attainment level. Okay, because already we have pre-fixed the mapping strength and all. And suppose if you are using a tool, you need to input the marks only. The attainment and everything will be taken by the software, because already we have fixed everything. Okay, so you just input up to the score. The remaining things already we have the mapping and everything we have done. Okay. Now here we are calculating the attainment level for the continuous assessment, not for the end semester examination. First we will calculate for the continuous assessment. Okay. Just we will see a simple example like this. Now how we will calculate the attainment? You can see CO1. The first course outcome, the calculation is 1 plus 2 by 2. How we got that calculation? Again, I will tell you, this is only a simple calculation. You can see seminar is mapped to CO1. Yet someone is mapped to CO1. That means CO1 appears in 2 places here. One is for seminar, the other one is for H1. And for seminar, the attainment level is 1, whereas for H1, the attainment level is 2. So we have 1 and 2. And here I'm taking only the simple average, 1 plus 2 by 2. So the calculation is 1.5. Actually, we have to take the weighted average. I think that you might have seen in the yesterday's session, because, you know, if we had someone, we have different 10 questions or 15 questions, each and every question you would be mapping to CO1 or CO2. Okay, so we have to consider each and every question and the mark of each and every question like that only. But this is, as I mentioned earlier, this is only a simple calculation only for understanding the process. So we have taken 1 plus 2 by 2, that is 1.5. Now we will calculate CO2. CO2 assignment, assignment is mapped to CO2 and the attainment is 3. Here you can see group activity CO2 is there and the attainment is 3 again. And for H1 also CO2 is there, attainment is 2. That means we have 3 for assignment, again attainment 3 for group activity, and again H1, 2. 3 plus 3 plus 2, 3 plus 3 plus 2 divided by 3. I'm taking only the simple average in this case. So the attainment is 2.6. Actually, we have to take the weighted average, considering the mapping strength and all those things. Okay, so this is the process by which we can calculate the attainment level. Okay, similarly for a CO3 and CO4 and CO5, we can calculate the same way. So that now we have calculated the course outcomes of a particular student or for one student for their continuous assessment. Okay. If you have any doubt in this, we will discuss and we will proceed. If you have any doubt, you can put it in the chat box, please. Any doubts regarding the calculation? So it's okay. Okay, fine for everybody, no? Yes. Do we have sample program matrix for each student? No, it is not like that. We will have the program matrix for the program. Suppose we are offering a MSc Computer Science. So we will have a program matrix for MSc Computer Science where we will consider all the courses. We will list all the course outcomes of all the courses in the first column. I will show that program matrix again. Yeah, this is the way. We will write all the course outcomes in the first column, and we will map all these course outcomes to the POs and PSOs respectively. This is the sample program matrix. Okay. So here we are considering the program, the course outcomes only. Not it's not a student-based mapping or anything like that. I think no other questions are there. Okay. Okay, so we will proceed. Now we have calculated the attainment of course outcomes of one student for continuous assessment. Okay. Then coming to the final exam. Okay. Suppose if you're an autonomous college or even a university, this is the process. I'll give an example. Like suppose there are 25 questions in the question paper. 25 questions in the question paper for the end semester exam. Semester exam. Okay. Then here the questions or the question numbers mapped to CO1 are listed. So all these 25 questions may be mapped to different COs. And I'm selecting those questions from the question paper which are mapped to CO1, only to CO1. So there are other questions which may be mapped to CO2, CO3, CO4, and CO5. So I'm considering only CO1 in this case because I'm now calculating the attainment level of CO1. Suppose question number 1 is mapped to CO1. Okay. Again, 16, question number 16, 18, 23, and 25. These 5 questions are mapped to CO1 out of 25 questions. Then for the first question, it's a 1-mark question. So the student got 100%. That means 1 out of 1. 100% mark for question number 1. That means the question level attainment is 3. That means the student is getting 100% score. That means the highest level of attainment, the significant level, because from you can see it is given the below, like 71 to 100% weightage is 3. So the question level attainment is 3. Whereas the weightage is 2. The weightage means this particular question is mapped to CO1 with a weightage of 2. Okay, so every question can be mapped to different COs. Here, question number 1 is mapped to CO1 with a weightage 2. Okay, but the student got 100% mark for the question number 1. So the question level attainment for the student is 3, whereas the weightage is only 2 because the question is mapped to CO1 with a weightage 2. Okay. Then 16. The next question is 16. That means the 16th question is again mapped to CO1. And the student scores 75%. That means 1.5 out of 2. It's a 2-mark question. So 1.5 out of 2. That means 75% mark. Then the question level attainment is 3 because the student is scoring more than 71%. From 71 to 100%, the weightage is 3. Here, the weightage given here is 3. That means this particular question, number 16, question number 16 is mapped to CO1 with a weightage of 3. Okay. Then coming to the 18th question. Suppose a student is scoring only 50% mark. That means 1 out of 2. It's a 2-mark question. Student is getting only 1 mark. That means 50%. So question level attainment is 1, only 1. Whereas the weightage is also 1 because this question number 18 is mapped to CO1 with a weightage of 1. 23 again. It is mapped to CO1. 3 out of 5 is the score, 60%. And the question level attainment is 2, whereas the weightage is 2. Because 23 is mapped to CO1. Question number 23 is mapped to CO1 with a weightage 2. And the last question, 25. 2 out of 5. Mark is 2 out of 5, 40%. Question level attainment is 1, whereas weightage is 3. That means question is mapped to CO1 with a weightage 3. So we have considered all those questions in the question paper for the final exam, which are mapped to CO1. Okay. Here also, if you are using a tool, it's very easy. You just input the marks. Just input the marks. All the other things will be calculated by the tool. Now, CO1 attainment, how we are calculating is, here we are using a weighted average, because the last time I have shown you with a simple average, but here we are using the weighted average because question level attainment and the mapping strength are also given. So 3 into 2 plus 3 into 3, second, 3 into 3, then 1 into 1, 2 into 2, and 1 into 3, divide by 2 plus 3 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3. That is the weight. So here we will get 2.09 or something like that. So what is this value? This is the CO1 attainment of one student for the external examination. Similarly, we have to calculate CO2 attainment, CO3 attainment, CO4 attainment, and CO5 attainment for one student. Then for all the students, if there are 60 students, we have to calculate for all the 60 students. So we cannot manually calculate it. We have to use any tool, any proper tool for calculating the attainment. But at least we can understand the process. This is the process. Now, ratio for calculation. Suppose for continuous assessment, the institution is giving 80% weightage and 20% for final examination, because through continuous assessment we can assess the student in a better way when we think when we adopt the OBE approach, because we'll have many activities. We can have n number of activities for continuous assessment, assignment, seminar, debate, whatever activity we can do. It will contribute to the attainment calculation. Whereas for the external examination or the final exam, the student will be sitting there for 3 hours and writing the exam. And in that 3 hours, we cannot assess a student according to the outcomes. Okay, so we can decide, the institution can decide the proportion of this continuous assessment and final exam for OB calculation. So I'm not changing the proportion of continuous assessment or the end semester examination. If it is 60-40, it will be like that. Or if it is 80-20, that means 80% for external and 20% for continuous assessment. It should be like that. And the mark sheet, the mark list, it will be coming like that only. Sorry. Whereas for calculating the OB, the attainment calculation of the outcomes, we can change that proportion. That also according to the policy of the institution. Here I'm just showing an example of the calculation. Here I'm giving 80% importance for continuous assessment, 20% for final exam. So according to that ratio, we can calculate the values, because already we have calculated continuous assessment for a CO1 1.5 and for final exam 2.09. And if 80-20 is the proportion, we will get 1.618 or something like that. So this is the CO attainment of one student for one course outcome. Okay. Then coming to the direct assessment and the indirect assessment. Okay. We have many activities like this external exam and internal exam, everything. Here, again, what proportion I have to give to the indirect assessment and what proportion to the direct assessment, that also I can decide. Here I am giving 20% weightage for indirect assessment. That means I am conducting a survey among the students. Then whatever they respond there in the survey, I will take that value and calculate the attainment level. Now we can see survey 20%. So for CO1, CO2, CO3, CO4, CO5, suppose a particular student gets response like that. So he is saying that he has got a 2 attainment level, 2 for CO1, 2 for CO2, 3 for CO3, 3 for CO4, and 3 for CO5. And we have already calculated the CO1, CO2, CO3, CO4, and CO5 for the direct assessment. Suppose we have already completed it. Okay. Then according to this ratio, we can calculate the value. Now, this is the CO attainment of a particular student for one course. Similarly, we have to calculate it for the different courses for all the students. Okay. So the calculation is a tedious process. Don't worry, I will just demonstrate a tool also how easily we can calculate the attainment value. Now, suppose there are 60 students in the class. We will get a table like this for each student. We will calculate the CO1, CO2, CO3, CO4, or CO5. We'll get a table like this, and we can calculate the average of each of the class. Okay. Then we can convert it into percentage attainment, average CO attainment value into 100 by 3. So we'll get how much percentage of attainment for each CO is there for this particular batch. So in that way, we can calculate it. And again, for accreditation purpose, we need to have some values like this, percentage of students attaining more than 60% level. So we can count the number of students above 1.8 into 100 by 60. So we will get the percentage. 1.8 means 60%, out of 3, 1.8 is the 60%. Or we can calculate percentage of students attaining more than 80% level in the above case. That also we can calculate. Okay. Attainment levels are to be evaluated for all POs and PSOs. Okay. So we have to calculate COs, then we have to calculate the PO values. So here we will again come to the program matrix, where already we have the mapping. So once if you calculate the course outcomes, attainment level of the course outcomes, you can calculate the POs like this. Again, it is a weighted average. And finally, PO attainment levels could be based on attainment levels of direct assessment and indirect assessment. Here also we have a direct assessment and indirect assessment. We can conduct a survey among the students for calculation of the PO. And suppose we can give 80% weightage for direct assessment, 20% weightage for indirect assessment. That also is possible. Then we can calculate the PO like this. Through direct assessment, suppose we are getting 2.16. Indirect assessment, suppose a student responds like this. His domain knowledge. Suppose he is saying 100% attainment. That means 3. So we can have the final attainment like this based on a ratio 80-20. We can calculate the final PO1. This is a PO1 domain knowledge of a particular student. The same way we can calculate it for all the students, and we can calculate the average. And these values are important for accreditation agencies. Okay, so we can calculate the percentage of students attaining more than 60% level in the above case. Same way. Then average attainment level we can calculate. We can conduct alumni survey. We can have employer survey and identifying the gap and formulating action plans. So once if we get the values, then we can have we can identify the gap, and we can continuously improve the OBE implementation. And we have some better practices. I cannot say best practices. Some better practices for assessments, like a pen paper test. You can have open book exams with the questions mapped to different CEOs. It's also is possible. Then we can have activities like industrial visits, field trips, projects, social activities, events, assignments, etc., with components at rubric level mapped to different outcomes. So as I mentioned earlier, we can have OB only activities. So you can conduct n number of activities like that, and all these activities can be mapped to different POs or PSOs. Then general activities like attendance, sports, ads, participation in some events, etc., mapped onto POs and PSOs. Especially recently, with the new education policy, there are recommendations from the UGC and all, like whatever activity the student is performing, even for a morning walk, you can give credit, like, because that is a physical activity. So if you can assess some activities like that, so whatever activity the student will do, that will add credit to his portal, like if the student is registered in the academic bank of credit, and he can accumulate these credits and gain a degree or a diploma or a PG program, whatever it is. So we can count any activities in this direction. So now it is open, because if you want to implement NEP, definitely these things are there. So we can have international certification programs, online certifications, everything. LMS, as I mentioned earlier, all these practices we can follow. Okay, so this is the way we can calculate the attainment level. This is the process, and I'm just given you a simple example. Okay, now I will show you some analytics report, and which are useful for accreditation purpose, and how simple it is. We can calculate the attainment if we are using a tool, or so in some institution they are using some Excel as a tool for calculating the attainment. But if you want to really go for OB implementation, definitely you need some more tools like that. Okay. So if you have any doubts regarding this calculation, I will repeat once more, or I will go to the next presentation, that is the analytics reports, useful analytics reports for accreditation agencies. Or in future also, if you have any doubts, you can contact me. This is my WhatsApp number, and my mail ID is also there. Okay. I think it's fine with you. Okay, we will now go to the next. Okay. Now I'll give you an idea how we can use a tool, and how these analytics reports are useful. Okay. As I mentioned earlier, we will finish it off by 9 o'clock, before 9 o'clock be possible. So I'll continue with the session next one. Share the screen. Just 1 minute. Yeah, this is an example of a tool where we can use for calculating the attainment level. It's very simple. I will give you an example. Like suppose the faculty has to add the course outcomes initially. Suppose it's only an example of some course outcomes. This may not be the real course outcomes. There may be some, maybe all the outcomes are proper outcomes. So don't look at the outcomes. Just I will give you the idea how the process is. So you can add the course outcomes, or you can use a template for adding the outcomes. Then you can fix the target for each course outcome. You can fix a target. Here we have fixed 60% target, and for one course outcome we have fixed 50% target. So something like that. Then After that, you can have the PO mapping or PSO mapping. Like each and every course outcome, you can map to different POs or PSOs. So the POs are mentioned there. You can map it with the POs and the required mapping strength. The same way we can have the mapping from CO to PSO. So after the mapping, you can just go through the summary, whether your mapping is proper or not. First of all, we'll see how the CO is distributed. Internal activities are there, external examinations are there, OBE only activities are indirect OBE activities. So each CO, so identify the elements. Okay. This is a CO, CO1. So for CO1, each of the activities contributes. The proportion of the contribution is given there in the graph. So some analytics reports which will help you to map the activities. Suppose if any of the CEOs are not properly represented by the activities. Like here, this is internal, this is external, this is OBE only activities. So if you want to add more activities, more components, that also is possible after seeing these analytics reports. Then how the PO distribution is done. Already we have mapped everything. So whether each and every PO is properly represented by CEOs. For example, communicative competence. Only 2 CEOs are mapped to communicative competence. So if required, you can add more activities, or even you can check whether if you want to add, or we can plan for a add-on course or a value-added course to improve that graduate attitude. You can do it and you can map it there. So once if you map the CO to PO or CO to PSO, and you can check whether the mapping is proper or each and every PO or PSO is properly represented by COs. In that case, if not properly represented, you can have add-on courses or value-added courses, or even you can have activities which will contribute to that particular graduate attribute or that particular PO. Okay, so this type of analytics will be useful for mapping and all. Then the next activity is the components. We can add the components, like this is actually the internal components. Sorry, for the internal examination, the questions are mapped. Each and every question can be mapped to the taxonomy levels. Then each of these course outcomes. These are actually course outcomes listed there. Okay, so if you add a question for the internal examination, you can map this to the Bloom's taxonomy level, and again to the course outcomes. So if you are using a question bank software or something like that, in the question bank, the questions will be already mapped to the Bloom's taxonomy levels or CEOs. So all the questions you can map like that. And in coming to the activities like assignment or seminar or whatever activity you do, you can have, for assessing the assignment or a group discussion or seminar, you can have rubrics or criteria. Rubrics and criteria are same. So to evaluate that assignment, you can have some criteria or rubrics. And this rubric level, at the rubric level, you can map it to taxonomy and also to the course outcomes. So when we get the analytics report, you can understand the importance of mapping even the rubrics to the taxonomy or the course outcomes. Otherwise, if there is no rubrics, if you are simply giving mark for assignment out of 5, suppose you are giving 4 or 3.5 without any rubrics, then no need of mentioning the rubrics here. You can directly mark that assignment to the taxonomy levels and also to the COs. So n number of activities you can add like this, and at the time of conducting that activity, you can add this to the tool and you can map it like that. Then you can calculate the attainment. So once, if you enter the mark also, because you have to enter the mark for each activity, you will get the attainment calculation like this. So this is for each and every student. CO1 calculation, the first column out of 3, and this is the average of the CO1, the average in the batch, then CO2 average like that. And taxonomy also, if you want to calculate the Bloom's taxonomy level, how the performance is. Each student out of 3, that performance will get. Then the PO at the end of the program, we will get the POs, then the PSOs, everything you will get. Again, you'll get a report. And these reports are very useful for accreditation purpose. This is again an example I will tell you. We have fixed the target for CO1 60%. That means there should be 60% attainment for CO1. If there are 30 students or 50 students in the class, all the students should at least achieve that 60% target. That is, I mean, by target. For CO2 also, we can fix a target like that. CO3, CO4, we have already fixed the target. Then we can calculate the average of the attainment. Average of the attainment calculation. That means here the average is 2.25 for CO1, CO2 2.25, and CO3 1.45, etc. And we'll get the standard deviation. So lot of inference, we will get from these values. And finally, the percentage of attainment. See, for example, here 90% of the students in that batch has achieved that 60% target. We have fixed the 60% target. Whereas for CO2, again, 90% students achieved that target. But for CO3, only 17.5% students have achieved 60% target. So there something happened in the course outcome number 3. You can see many of the students are scoring less in that CO3. So that means you can conduct one more activity or one more assessment, whatever you require, to bringing all the students to the desired level, because we have fixed the target as 60%, but here, only 17% of the students have achieved that target. So what you can do is you can conduct another activity or another assessment so that you can bring those students to the desired level. Or this is called assurance of learning. So when we implement outcome-based education, you can mention about our assurance of learning. That is a best practice, again suggested by UGC. And you can see the top institutions in India, they are adopting this assurance of learning concept. So assurance of learning means each and every student joining the institutions, when they go out, we are assuring, we will give an assurance like that every student will achieve a certain level of outcome, that target. Okay, so this is possible by using a tool. We can analyze it. Then we can have the split target also. We can check how much percentage of the students. For example, we have set the target as 60%. So you can see 90% for CO1, 90% for CO2, 17.5% of CO3, like that. Suppose if you're fixing a target as 55%, what is the percentage of achievement? You can see it there. So this is again an analytics for the faculty. If you fix the target in a different levels, how many of the students will achieve that? Okay, so lot of analytics report you will get like this. And again, coming to the HOD dashboard, the HOD will get lot of reports, they will get a progression report like this. See, this is the taxonomy level progression, because we are mapping what all activities we are doing to the taxonomy levels, even at the rubric level. So if we can map like that, we will get a clear understanding of the performance of the batch and each student, the taxonomy level as well as PO, PSO, all. Now, this is the batch progression, the taxonomy level, each semester, how the batch is progressing. The taxonomy level, remember, and analyze or apply level. See, there is a drop in the 5th semester, the taxonomy level apply. So in that case, if we can take some remedial measures, that is good. So again, for NAC accreditation and all, we can say that we are taking some remedial measures based on the data. Okay, so then only, otherwise, suppose we are saying that we are taking remedial measures, we are calculating, we are seeing the marks of the students, and okay, that is again, it is okay, but if you can have some more analytics like this, this will be useful for the accreditation purpose. Then we can have the analytics of each and every student. See, for example, how the each student is performing semester-wise. This is the analytics reports of a student called Abhijit Pradeep. See, in each semester, how the student is performing in the taxonomy levels. Here you can see a dip in the 5th semester. Okay. So that means something happens in the 5th semester. So the faculty can interfere there. Then PO attainment, how the progression of a particular student semester-wise, that we can understand from this graph. Then the comparison of the student, the performance of the student with the batch performance, that comparison also we will get like this. The blue line represents the batch progression, whereas the yellow line represents the performance of the student, how the student is performing. So especially during the PTA meeting, you can convince the parents with the data like this. So that will be more effective. Not only to the parents, for accreditation purpose, we can say that we are comparing the students, and we are identifying the slow learners, we are identifying the moderate learners, advanced learners. That reports also will be, it is available from this tool, like who are the slow learners or moderate learners or advanced learners. So once we get such reports, definitely we can do some remedial measures, remedial coaching or a peer teaching, many things we can adopt. Again, we can have the comparison or the trend analysis, like suppose this is the trend of a particular student in the 2nd semester compared to the 1st semester. So you can see some downward trend, somewhere he's showing upward trend. Now some other places downward trend. This is in comparison with the 1st semester. This is his performance in the 2nd semester. Okay. Now coming to the 3rd semester, we can see more downward trend in the 3rd semester. Okay. Here also definitely we can interfere there. We can take some remedial measures. Suppose the student may have some problems with some particular subjects, or some even problems with maybe personal problems or family problems. So we can identify such cases, or we can have an outlier report. That means we can get the report of these type of students. That will be useful again for taking remedial measures and all. Okay, so we will get a lot of reports like this. I'm just giving you an idea about how we can manage, if you properly adopt, outcome-based education, and have n number of reports like this, so that it is easy for us to manage the students, not only for manage the students, the parents, then especially for accreditation agencies, these reports are valuable reports. And when we go for NAC accreditation or NB accreditation, for NB accreditation, it's very important that OB should be there. For NAC accreditation also, in every criteria, you can mention about OB, starting from the first criteria, like how the institution is, undergoing that effective curriculum delivery. There is a question like that. You can have an OB manual. You can prepare an OB manual for the institution. I think as a reference material that is given in the LMS, you can have an OB manual, and based on that OB manual, you can prepare the schedules, everything. So starting from the criteria 1, then in criteria 2, of course, there are a lot of places where we can mention about OBE, not only for the question 2.5 or 2.6, where you will be asked about the course outcomes, then the attainment level calculation, everything. But about regarding slow learners, moderate learners, advanced learners, remedial measures, mentoring support, and for all these things, we have a data like this. It will be easy to convince even the peer team members. Then every criteria like this as a best practice, you can mention this. So these are the areas where we can mention OB, especially when we are going for accreditation. Okay, that is about the tool. So it may be difficult for manually calculation of the attainment of the OB, but if you are using a tool, it's very easy. You just you have to plan the CO-linked assessment plan and some creative assessments you can include in the assessment plan. And whenever you conduct an activity or assessment, at that point itself, you can add that value to the tool so that every time we can calculate the attainment levels, and you'll also get the reports or analytics reports like this. Okay. So that's about this one, calculation of attainment. And if you're using a tool, then analytics reports like this. Then coming to some of the best practices, like I just introduce, I just discuss some of the best practices we are following in our college. Like in 2016, we became autonomous, and from the first year itself, we started updating the syllabus. So every year we are updating the syllabus, and we have several assessments. Like for continuous assessment, we have CARS and CARDIL activities. CARS means continuous assessment for research skill, and CARDIL means continuous assessment for deep learning. So I'm teaching operational research. So just I will give you some idea about how we will assess the students based on these CARS and CARDIL activities. One or two examples I will just share. Just 1 minute. This is actually a Padlet. I think now you are familiar with the Padlet. It is there in the LMS, and most of you have posted questions or your course outcomes and different questions in the Padlet. I'll give you an example of an activity. This is an example of an activity I used to give to the students when they start studying operational research. See, for MCA students, mathematics, OR or statistics, they consider it as a subsidiary subject or something like that. But people like us, we know how much important is mathematics or OR when they go for a job in the industry. So this is one of the activities I am giving to the students, like identify the applications of operational research in computer science and submit on the Padlet. This is an assignment. So they have to research. They have to go to internet, or they can use the library or wherever they want. After having a research, they can start submitting this in the Padlet. So this is an example. Now, one condition is that if a student submit an assignment, so this is the first student is submitting the assignment. No? The other students, they cannot copy the same content. So they have to identify another application, and they have to submit it after that. So what happens, I usually give this as an assignment in the class, and within 1 hour, I'll get submissions like this, because the first student will submit. That student will get research somewhere, and will get an answer like this. And the second student who has to submit it definitely go through all the submissions. Then only that particular student has to submit a new one, because that particular he or she cannot copy the already submitted assignment. So in that way, we can avoid the copying part. Again, some of the submissions, if it is similar, there is a similarity, I will reject it, and so that they have to submit it again. So that process will continue, so that the those who are submitting at the end, that means the last day, they have to go through all the assignments already submitted there. So all the submissions they have to go through, and they have to submit a new one. That means a lot of learning is happening. So if a student is lazy, then definitely he or she has to go through all the submissions. That means a lot of learning is happening there. So when we go for the OBE approach, definitely that will benefit each and every student. So this is one of the strategies we adopt while using Padlet, and it is easy for us to monitor also. Otherwise, usually what happens, all of them will submit at the last date, and all these the submissions may be, they will be copying from each and everyone's submissions. So this is one of the areas we can adopt, especially the tools like Padlet, so that it will be easy for us to evaluate also. Then another task I usually give is the video creation task. This is another task again. So this is a task: identify a problem, develop an OR model, and find the solution. They have to find out a real life problem. They have to create a PPT and upload it. Finally, they can create a video. So this is a CADL activity, a deep learning activity, and marks will be distributed, something like that. Now, every problem should be unique. If there is a duplication, it will be rejected. You can upload the problem first, then the PPT with the script, and finally the video. Okay. So here also, what they are doing, they can identify a real life problem, or if you are not getting a real life problem, they can search for a case study. A case study which is being applied in an industry or somewhere. So the same case, here also the student will submit, and the next student, when submitting the assignment, has to look upon the other submissions like this, and they are creating a videos. So in that way, once if they study the content, they create the PPT, then after that, when they create the video, definitely they will learn more. And these videos, if it is good, I'm uploading it to the official YouTube channel also. So these are by using tools like Padlet, it's easy for us to implement OBE in a better way, because more learning will happen when we use these tools like this. Okay. Again, if you are using Moodle, during the pandemic, I asked the students to create a content for one of my modules, so that the students have created content, they have created video, and I'm also monitoring them. And finally, I have selected 4 students out of my 60 students, and uploaded the videos in my in our official YouTube channel. And that particular module, I'm not teaching now. So students, they are going through those videos, and I'm just discussing the problems there. Some real life scenario I'm discussing in the class. So in that way, we can reduce our workload. At the same time, the students will be learning more about the topics. So we can give assessments, or we can give assessments like this. And again, the assessment questions, that also we have changed all the questions for the subsequent exam and indirect exams. Like earlier, usually the questions like what is OR, or write the characteristics of OR, or what is the different the different phases of OR. All such questions will appear in the question paper when we were an affiliated college. But when we implement OBE, we can change all these things. So we have changed all these questions to outcome-based questions. Like now we'll be asking questions like we will be giving them a real-life situation, a real-life scenario, some data, something like that. Then ask them to develop a model. It can be a simplest model, it can be a transportation model, or it can be a game theory model, something like that. Or we'll give them some data related to a project, then ask them to draw the network diagram, then ask them to calculate the project completion time, the critical activities, and all those things. They can do it themselves, and they can use any of the tools or any of the solution methods that also at their discretion. So in that way, the student will be, developing a model that is again a higher order taxonomy. Maybe there will be finding solutions for the problem, and identifying the best solution method. That also is important. So the student is doing all these things, and finally they are giving the answers for that particular question. So that more learning is happening, and we are bringing the students to the higher order taxonomy. Okay, again, we can have industry collaborations. That is an important area where we can look upon. From the starting of our program, MCA program itself, we have industry collaborations, especially with Red Hat. And there is a section by a professional from the tech delegate from Red Hat on Wednesday, I think. You can understand how they are, delivering their courses. It's completely OB based, and their assessments, it's a 3.5 hour assessment, and it's full of tasks, not just MCQs or anything else, and full of tasks and assignments, so that the students will go through all these tasks and assignments, and they will become industry ready. And again, we have some other associations also. On Monday, we'll have another section by Dr. Suresh Nambudiri. He's the former Chief Operating Officer of Tata Motors. After resigning from Tata Motors, he spent 5 to 6 years in the Indian education system and he, along with another 160 professionals, they conducted a study in the Indian education system, and now they are coming out with a report, and that the report is being published by Columbia University as a book. So you'll hear more about this OB on the industrial point of view. So we can have some industry collaborations. We can also choose some industries. You can for industry collaborations. That is again, and we can have the OB task, LMS task also. We will just discuss the LMS task we have provided to in the LMS. See, for OB calculation again, lot of data points we have to come across. See, for example, for one semester, suppose if there are 60 students and 5 outcomes for each course, there are around 60 activities, and for calculating the attainment level, around 1,25,000, more than 1,25,000 data points we need. So it's a tedious task. So if you want to add more activities, definitely we will get more accurate result. Okay. So that is about attainment calculation and all. We will just go through that LMS task also from the day one. I think most of you have gone through the task. And before that, we will just go through the Mentimeter slide. What you So this is the Mentimeter slide. Now, these are your responses. So which activities or assessments is more suitable for OB? Most of you have given the more preference to project work, then case study, then internship, examinations, assignment, then seminar. Okay. Now, if you consider the POs, the program outcomes or the graduate attributes, if the students are doing a project work, so what all skills they are acquiring through that project work? Team skills will be there. Then when they are presenting that project, the communication skills development is happening there. And this collaborative learning, this collaborative learning, they're learning more things. So project work is very important when we consider OBE implementation. Then case study, okay. Then comes internship, then comes examination, then comes assignment, then comes seminar. Now, if you consider assignment, suppose if you are giving an assignment, or if you suppose a seminar, I don't know why you have seminar comes in the last position, because if you are giving a seminar, definitely the student has to understand the topic, then he has to present it. When presenting the topic, he should study thoroughly. Without a thorough study of the topic, he cannot present it. Whereas in examinations, if you just analyze your question papers, most of the questions are coming from the first two levels of taxonomy. So compared to examinations, it's better, you have seminar, frequent seminars, or even assignments. In some cases, assignments are also better than examinations. Then coming to internship, definitely that is a good option, because while doing internship, the student will be learning more about the subject. And again, there will be a collaborative approach. Maybe 2-3 people are working in a team. So anyway, your judgment is correct. Regarding case study, I think internship will come in the second position if we compare with case study. Case study is just studying about a case only, But whereas in the internship, they are doing something. They are actually working in a company and doing the internship. That means they are applying what all things they are studying there. And when if they want to apply something, definitely again some higher order taxonomy levels will be there. So that's anyway, your options are good, and you can adopt such strategies when you are implementing OBE in your place. Okay, now coming to the okay, just 1 minute, we'll just go through the LMS activity. Okay. So there is a doubt clearance forum. I think some of you have posted there, and others you can respond there. So this is for a collaborative learning. Also, some topics related to course outcomes for how many course outcomes for a particular course? What is the ideal number? I think that is the question. How many course outcomes for a particular course? Actually, the ideal number is in the range 4 to 6, 4 or 5. 5 may be good. Okay. Others also can comment on those comments already posted. Are there any thumb rules in framing course outcomes? I think already it's covered in the last session, how to design the course outcomes. So just you can go through that video again. Again, we have some tasks like question paper analysis on the basis of Bloom's taxonomy is already there. I think most of you have done it. Then a Padlet, we have pasted a Padlet. Okay. Some of the, I think many of you, the participants, you have listed your so it comes. Recorded section of day 2. Okay, it will be available probably today itself. It will be uploaded. Don't worry about it. I will just discuss about that partlet also, because I think it's better to share that partlet directly. Okay, so this is the partlet where you are adding questions. Many of the faculty members, we have added questions there. Now what you can do is, you can give your comments here. Okay, just if you feel that that question is not of that particular taxonomy level, you can just mention it and you can add your own comments. So in that way, again, that a collaborative learning will happen. So there are different questions from different taxonomy levels. Okay. Again, we have a course outcomes listed there. And you have listed some course outcomes. And again, the others, you can just comment on it. Like if it is a good course outcome or not, just you can comment on it, so that again, that collaborative learning will happen. That is what we are planning now. And other faculty members also, you can post some course outcomes here. So I'll share this in my LinkedIn profile later, so that it will be public. So anybody can just go through it anyway. Okay, so this Padlet activity, you can do it. Then again, coming to the LMS. Okay, there is one more activity is provided there. Just 1 minute. So today's activity, there is a CEO computation activity. Like you can download an Excel sheet like this, where just you can go through. Yeah, just you can add some values, or you can input your course outcomes here. And CO1, you can just write your course outcomes. Or even if you are not writing the course outcomes, CO1, CO2, CO3, it's already there. Don't worry about it. Then question number 1, suppose from your question paper or somewhere, you can add a question number 1. And you can map that question number 1 to a particular CO, because your CO is already mentioned there. You can have a question, the first question from your question paper. You can map it to a particular CO. If the mapping is 0, no need of any doing anything there. Otherwise, no. You can, suppose if it is 2, you can put it 2. If it is 0, put 0 there. Already a default mapping is there. You can remove that. Okay. Like this is an example. Question number 1. I'm not writing the statement there. But question number 1, we have mapped to different COs. Automatically, that change will come here. So no need of doing anything here. You can list the course outcomes here if required. Otherwise, you know the code. So then the question number 1, if you want, you can write the questions here. Otherwise, question number 1, you can map that question to the different COs. Okay. Then maximum mark for that particular question. If it is a 1 mark question, you can put 1 there. Suppose if it is a first question is a 1 mark question, you can put 1 there. Okay. Similarly, you can add the other questions also. That is what you have to do here. I will repeat. You can mention the course outcomes there if it is there. Otherwise, CO1, CO2, that is enough. And the questions, you can put it here. And you can map these questions to the different course outcomes. Already it is the course outcomes you have designed. If we are only 5 course outcomes, don't worry. You can put that 5 only. Maximum mass also you can put it here. Then you can go to the next tab. This is the CO mapping. Then go to the next tab. Here, the roll number. Suppose you are considering 10 students. If you can give the name, it's fine. Otherwise, don't worry, because the roll number is roll number 1, roll number 2, it is there. Then for question number 1, what is the mark of the first student? See, for example, question number 1, if the roll number 1 got full mark, because question number 1 is the mark is 1. Okay. Then for each student, you can input the marks there. And you can put the target also, the CO target. Suppose we are 50% target you are fixing. The number of students you have to put it here. Suppose we are considering 10 students, we can put 10 here. Okay, I will repeat. Roll number is already there. No need of writing the name, because roll number is already there. Then for each question, suppose for the first question, as an example, we have considered as a 1 mark question. So for each student, how much mark he got for the first question. If it is 0, you can put 0. If it is 0.5, you can put it 0.5, like that. So for all the questions, you can input the values, mark there. And the target also for each CO. If you have 5 COs, you can put the target of each CO. Number of students equally 10, you can put it 10 there. Okay. Then after, uploading all these values, you will get an attainment calculation here, like what is your target set, and whether the target is attained, or what is the level of attainment. Okay, if you want, you can put your course name or something like that. It's only for an understanding, for your understanding how the mapping is done or how the mark entries are done. So this is again there in the LMS. You can download that for today and you can do it. Okay. Then so day 2 activities. There is one workshop activity for day 2, for yesterday, that you can do there. Like a workshop, as I mentioned, the first day, it is for peer evaluation. So you will submit your COs and you will get the POs of others for peer evaluation. That is again a learning process. All these things you can apply in your model if you are using a model in your institution. Then we have a lesson activity also. I think yesterday, the first day you had a video on Bloom's taxonomy, and there is an assessment there. Again, this Padlet, you can input your questions or course outcomes. And this is day 3. Today we have, it is written time, task 5. Actually, it is task 3 or 4, something like that. Anyway, you can download it from here. Okay. So please do the activities from the LMS, because that will definitely help you to learn more. So by that, we will finish today. And if you have any questions, you can ask now. Or if you have any, I think some queries are there in the chat box. I'll take one by one. This PPT and video, it will be shared in the LMS. Then recorded session. Okay, day 2. I think if by today or maximum by tomorrow it is available. Access to LMS today. So please, can I do the task by tomorrow? Okay, there is no problem. You can do the task as and when you are free. Because we will extend the LMS access to 2-3 more days. Don't worry about it. The tool demonstrated seems to be a paid one. Please share the price and how can it be purchased. If you have my number, you can just contact me on WhatsApp or a mail ID. That purpose. Got the access to LMS today. Okay, you can do that task tomorrow, no problem. CO1 by student that's for final exam from where we can fetch question level attainment and weightage. Yeah. If you are an autonomous college or a university, it is possible. If you are an affiliated college, for final exam, we have to adopt some other strategy. Like we can just check the question paper and according to the proportion of the questions, proportion of the COs, we have to divide the marks accordingly. In that way, we can do it.
Good evening, sir.
Yes.
Small. Do we need to do COs for each unit or for whole syllabus? We can write individual COs, sir.
Okay. Can you repeat once more?
Do we need to do COs for each unit, unit-wise CO, or for overall syllabus, we can frame the COs, sir?
The process is like that. For each course, that means each subject, we have to design the COs first. When we are implementing OBE, that is we have to design the COs, then you design the syllabus. And the easy way is if you have 5 units or 5 modules, in some cases modules, you can have one CO from one module. That will be easy for you to calculate the attainment level in future. Is that your doubt?
No, sir. Actually, for COs, we will do 4 or 5 for depending upon the subject. That first one remember or second one understand level are different levels is there, no, sir. So, for example, if we have unit 1, we have to frame the CO for only for unit 1. Then we can apply remember and apply. For the same CO, sir.
It is better you design COs with a higher order taxonomy, not starting from remember. At least it is better you should start from apply level. Okay. So module wise, you can do it. The first unit, suppose you have a CO 1, and it is not necessary that it should start from remember level. But usually the first unit may be introduction level or something like that. So at least you can use the second level, understand level. Remember level CO means, it's very low.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank
you. Good evening, sir. In our institution, we are using only course outcomes, sir. Is there definitely have to use activity outcomes also considered, sir, for attainment purpose?
Because it is easy. It is advisable if you can have more activities. Because if you want to calculate attainment level in a more accurate way, it is better you can have more activities. And if you are using the same continuous assessment activities, it is limited. Okay. As a best practice, you can have more activities.
Okay, sir.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Yeah.
Sir, we are from Autonomous Institute, sir. While framing syllabus for any course, we are having actually 6 units in our syllabus, sir, so that we are going to write 6 COs, sir. Do we have any standard to use this level of Bloom's taxonomy for each and every CO, sir?
Best practice is, can have a higher level taxonomy for COs, because, suppose you're having a question from the higher order and your CO is from a lower order, that do not look nice, that is the reason. It's better you can have a higher order taxonomy works for designing COs.
Yes, sir.
And from each unit, it's better you can have one CO.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. For each, is it okay, sir, to have all 6 COs are of analyzing level or application level?
On your subject also. If we can have more questions, if your assessment, your questions are all from, higher order, it's okay, fine. Otherwise also, if you have a CO from the apply level or analyze level, you can have a question from the lower level, but then the mapping strength will be less. Only
Yes,
that problem. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Sir, what is exactly industry collaboration, sir?
Suggested.
Sir, unable to listen, sir. What is exactly industry collaboration?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Industry collaboration means, even the UGC has suggested for industry collaborations now, because, you can collaborate with the industry and you can design courses, or you can have add-on courses or certificate courses in association with the industries. And that is acceptable.
For autonomous.
Autonomous colleges, you can have a certificate course, but for affiliated colleges, you can have add-on courses or value-added courses.
Understood, sir. Thank you, sir.
Sir, is there any limitation for fixing COs as in the same level, or two for level 1 and 2 COs for 2, like that?
Monday session, because that is actually a study, as I mentioned earlier. So we have to bring the students to the higher order taxonomy. Then only they will be employable. See, if a student mug up everything,
Yes, sir.
cannot...
If we frame 5 COs,
Hello.
Sir, your voice is not audible, sir.
Sarika, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can hear you. Ma'am, could you please repeat your query once again?
is there any limitation for fixing COs, sir? Level.
It's better you can have CEOs from the higher order, because we have to bring the students to the higher order taxonomy, then only they will be employable. That is the reason.
Sir, can I interrupt now? Sir, my question is also the same. When we are giving levels for the COs, can we have 2 or more COs at the same level, like apply or analyze?
Yes, that is possible.
Yes. Is there any limitation for that, sir? Like no two COs can have the same level or something like that?
It's not like that. For example, you can have a CO1 from the apply level, CO2 again apply level. There is no problem like that.
Okay. Can we have all of them in the apply or analyze level, sir? Is that not possible?
Definitely. There is no limitation like that.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay, then we will wind up. Thank you all.